Whose district was it in? Okay, see, everything's fine over in District 1.
Well, do you need a minute? We're a little rainy tonight.
Oh my God.
Tim, you ready? All right. Mr. Lee? Yes, sir. Madam Clerk? All righty. We're going to call to order the Effingham County Board of Commissioners meeting this November 19, 2024 at 5:02. If you would please answer as I call your name for roll call. Mr. Floyd?
Here.
Mr. Burdette?
Here.
Mr. Corbett's here. Mr. Deloach?
Here.
Mr. Loper? He is absent. Mr. Kiefer? And he is absent. But we do have a quorum tonight, so that's fine. If everyone would please rise for the invocation and remain standing as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. Gracious Father, we are so thankful again to be here tonight among our friends, our constituents, those who have business before the county, and we pray that you would give us the wisdom we need and the discernment we need to see how we can support this community and build a stronger and healthier community through the decisions we make tonight. So we ask for your guidance. We continue to pray for our country and all the change in leadership there, that you would guide them as we prepare for a new day perhaps in our country. We thank you for all the many blessings you have given to us in Effingham County, and I'm particularly thankful to have my mom here tonight, and praise you for the life that she has given me and our family. And with that, we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, is there any adjustments to our agenda? I know there's one item I wanted to remove from the consent
Yes, sir.
agenda.
Yes, sir. There are several
Okay.
changes. Go with me to the second page of the agenda. This is consent item number 3. The request for the chairman is to move this item to new business 1A. Also on page 2, unfinished business, items number 1 and 2. Brian Quigley as agent for Jeremy Neese to rezone 102.69 acres plus or minus. This property is located on US Highway 80. The request is to postpone items 1 and 2 to the December 3rd meeting.
Are they present tonight?
They are not present.
One thing we need to be conscious of, I was looking at the rules of order.
Sure.
You have to be present and ask for a table. You cannot.
They emailed, but I
They
didn't know
sent
if
an
it
email.
late this
They did
afternoon.
send an email.
We've done it as a practice, but I want to get on the record that they need to do that, and they have to use their table first, I think, before we can use our table. But there's some rules on the table. We need to be careful how we use those tables in the future. Just making that note. I've been reading over the rules as we prepare for the new incoming chairman to make sure we don't make some of the mistakes I made. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else?
Okay, yes, sir. If we go to the next page, under new business, number 11, staff has requested to remove this item. It's consideration to approve the professional services proposal for Hussey Gay Bell for engineering services. Number 13, under new business, is a duplicate item from the last meeting. It's to be removed. Planning Board item number 1 coincides with unfinished business items 1 and 2. It's a site plan for warehouses on Highway 80. This item is being postponed to December 3rd.
Just item 1?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And lastly, items number 6 and 7 under Planning Board. Consideration to approve an application by Bruce Gordon for a variance located on 1743 Shawnee Egypt Road. This item is being withdrawn by the applicant. So it's items number 6 and 7.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda with the noted corrections?
So moved.
Okay, motion by Mr. Deloach, and I'll
Second.
take a second by Mr. Burdette. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Hearing no nos, we have our agenda. Next item is consideration to approve the November 5th, 2024 work session and regular meeting minutes. Are there any corrections or additions, or a motion to approve as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Floyd to approve as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Hearing no nos, it passes unanimously. I want to welcome the public here tonight. Comments shall pertain to the agenda items only, if you would, please. Should you wish to make any remarks to agenda item, please come up to the microphone, state your name very clearly for the record, and then if you can limit your comments to just a couple of 3-4 minutes, that'll help everyone speak to an item that wants to speak to it. As far as the correspondences, the agenda packets for this meeting are posted on the county website. Any additional documents presented at this meeting should be presented to the clerk, and then she'll hand them to us. Don't bring them directly to us, but give them to our clerk. That way she'll have a record of it, and she'll disperse it to us as well. And with that, I'm going to take a pause because I have a special guest of mine tonight. And so as the chairman, I'm going to disrupt the agenda just a little bit. My mother is here. I have one more meeting after this one, and I will then be turning over to Mr. Damon back there, Damon Ron, to chair this board in the future. I know he'll do a great job. But so she has come tonight to see her baby boy be at the chairmanship. But I'm going to ask if the board would do me the honor of stepping down front, let my brother bring her up. I'd love to get a picture with her and myself before the emblem of the county. If it will give us just a minute, if you'll give us a little latitude. She is 94 years old, will be 95 in May, and does really well. So.
That's awesome.
Step over here. Why don't you come down here and get a picture with me?
Dressed up there. I'm gonna take pictures.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Something keeping our record on the ship. Would you bless me by honoring my mom and welcome her? She doesn't like to be in the club. She won't be with Thank you, everyone, for their help with that. And now we'll move to our consent agenda. These sections shall include routine items which there'll be no discussion. And should there need arise to discuss one, just ask me and we'll move it from the consent to a current item. But this is our consent agenda. There's just 3 items remaining. Item number 1 is an agreement, consideration to approve to renew the agreement with McDaniel Supply in Effingham County Prison. Item number 2 in the consent agenda is a consideration to approve a grant application for fiscal year 2025 EMS trauma-related equipment grant provided by the Georgia Trauma Commission. And item number 4, which is the third item, is consideration to approve to extend the appointment of Jamie DeLoach to the Joint Development Authority Board through December 2025. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as read?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. DeLoach, second by Mr. Floyd to approve the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Hearing no no's, the consent agenda is approved as read.
Mr. Chairman, if you can, we didn't catch it when you said it, but we did ask to remove the wrong item on the new business. I believe it was new. We removed new business item 11 when we should have removed new business item 12. So 11 should stay on there, and then 12 is the item that should be removed.
All right, so we need to go back and amend that motion. We need to go back and amend that motion, correct?
Yes, just for clarity.
Now, let's do this for clarity. I want to ask, I think Mr. DeLoach made the motion. Mr. DeLoach, will you accept that we're going to keep 11 on the agenda and remove 12?
Yes, I accept the change.
And Mr. Burdette, you second the agenda. Was that good with you on your second?
Yes, sir.
All right, all in favor of that correction to the agenda motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Hearing no no's, it passes unanimously. Okay, thank you. And so now 1A is going to be the consent agenda item. And the only reason I wanted to move that, and Kathy Candler, is she here tonight?
Who?
Ms. Candler?
Oh, she is not.
But you can address it. I noticed it was a dollar for dollar. When it's a grant, it doesn't require us to put anything in, but it said it was a dollar for dollar, so we got to put 80,000 in with the 80,000.
Yes.
Can you share a little bit about what we're going to get from this, and it's not just a bureaucracy thing that somebody's doing and somebody's getting
Do
some
we
money?
have
and-
finish first?
I mean, is it going to be some real benefit? What is it?
Sure, and so the Coastal Incentive Grant comes out annually. We've most recently won one 2 years ago to do our Stormwater Master Plan, which you all approved a few years ago. It really is to, for areas around, for the coastal counties, and one of the things that you can do on it is provide public access to waterways. And so this is for, we are in the process of finishing up the remediation plan and then starting the, then we will have the design ready for Atlas Park, Atlas Reservoir. And so this would essentially go towards that. The funds to match this would come out of T-Splost. So essentially will allow us to basically do a little bit more than what we had originally planned with that park.
I guess one of the things that was just so vague, the project will focus on coastal habitat restoration. For Atlas, I couldn't figure out what that was. And then for enhanced water quality and community education on sustainable practices. That just seems so vague. I feel like $160,000 sounds like a lot of money for what that says.
That's right. And so, I mean, I think those are generally the categories that you can use it for. Okay. This checks those boxes because the park effectively, because of the remediation work that we're doing on it, does clean up the waterway. We're having to dredge some of it to remove contaminated soil from it. And then from that, basically every park that we have, provides some sort of educational component to
This
which
will be
we
for all our
provide as
parks?
well. What?
It'll work for all our parks?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I did. I
This
just-
one in particular, because of, it's got a water feature in it, and its proximity to, the Ogeechee,
Ogeechee, yeah.
that it makes it, a little bit more, a little bit better, application than our inland parks.
All right, but staff fully sees the value of this additional 80,000. I just,
Absolutely.
when I just saw the, 160,000, I knew we've done a lot of research out there already, on the
Yeah.
waterway. What are they gonna be doing that we hadn't already done, but, okay,
Well, this basically, some of the things that we were planning to do, we were gonna phase in that park. This will essentially, assist in,
Okay.
in doing some of the plans we were going to do, but we're gonna be able to get more stuff done in phase one.
okay, very good. Well, I don't have any other questions. If there's no discussion or question, is there a motion for alternative one?
Make a motion to approve alternative one.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Floyd, second by Mr. Deloach for alternative one. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Hearing no nos, it passes unanimously. Item 1 and 2 was tabled to 12:3, so we move to item number 3 under unfinished business. The planning board recommends approval of a request by Kern and Company LLC, Chad Zitrower as agent for Karen Brindley to rezone 17 plus or minus 17.77 acres out of 64.48 acres located on Blue Jay Road from AR1 to R5 to allow for a residential development map number 432, parcel number 45 in the second district.
Yes, sir. So again, the applicant is requesting to rezone that 17.77 out of 64.48 acres to the R5 zoning for that residential development. The proposed development will have access from the current R6 development in the front, which is Blue Jay Commons, with a secondary emergency access entrance that will be provided. There are also 2 other high-density R6 developments near this proposed development, Pine Brook and then Blandford Crossing as well. The future land use map does have this parcel projected to be agricultural residential. Staff has reviewed the application, and if approved, the rezoning will meet the criteria of the ordinance with the conditions that are listed on your staff report, to include that a preliminary plat shall be approved by the Board of Commissioners.
And
Thank you,
Mr.
Ms.
Chairman?
Chelsea. Now, it says a public hearing, but we had a public hearing the last time. We tabled it at the end of that public hearing. We don't need to open another public hearing. I don't mind hearing some more comments, but we had some questions we wanted to resolve after we had the public hearing, so I don't know, do we need another public hearing? I wouldn't think we would. But if there's someone tonight wants to speak to it, I may open it up to, for a couple of comments, but we already had the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
If I may just make one comment on this, it's just one of the things that had that there was some confusion on is we had a presentation at the previous meeting which incorrectly stated that the improvements to Blue Jay Road would not be completed until 2029. That wasn't incorrect, but it wasn't completely correct. We're doing it in phases. What people desperately want to see is the resurfacing and the lane widening to standard lanes. Site that is already out to bid, and so we expect to award that, and we may even have it ready for awarding by the December meeting, if not the January meeting. So that is not a that portion of the improvements of Blue Jay will not be you won't have to wait for.
Yes, sir. Okay, and there were two things that I was concerned about, reason I called for table, and I'll mention those now that I have resolved, and then we'll see if the applicant wants to make any comments and see if the board has any additional comments. But one was the Blue Jay Road. When they told us 29, I thought, how can we put any more housing on a road that hasn't been improved yet and won't be improved for, 5 years? But that's going to be done, went out for bid, so they answered that. The other was the comments were concerned about the school availability in our schools. Even just this morning, some who were in transportation, our superintendent, which we met with individually together, Tim and I did, as well as Beth Helmy, I think, joined us for that meeting as well. School availability is not an issue. He has stressed that again with the transportation. We have small class sizes. We will continue to have small class sizes, regardless of what you hear from Facebook or the public. that our schools are overburdened. We have it from the board themselves, the school board and the superintendent, they are not, and that this project would not impact our schools in any way. So that's the two I had. I don't want to make them have to build a school because we provide additional residents in an area that can't handle it. But there's no area there's some that are a little more tenuous than others, like the Ebenezer Road area, but even that one has some capacity as well. So all the schools have capacity, and we're good on schools. That was my two issues. I'm gonna start with the applicant. If you want to make any addresses to the things you heard last time, that may resolve some other things for the commissioners, or it may not, and then let them see what questions they have for you, okay?
Yes, good evening. Chad Zitrow with Kern & Company here, representing Ms. Brindley, which is the property owner, as well as Brayley Investments, which is developer Brandon Long is back here. As you mentioned, basically we requested for this to be tabled because some concerns were brought up at the last meeting. I think you kind of went over the Blue Jay improvements. In addition to what Mr. Callahan described, I think in my review of the documents, it says the estimated time frame for that is 270 days is what they're proposing in the contract. So if it was issued in February, it would be done by approximately this time next year. So
Should be finished in
we feel
2025.
good with that. In addition, you shared with us kind of the school documents that you had obtained. We have verified that. We've had several discussions, you know, with the school board, and we got the same information you did. So if there's any specifics, we can elaborate, but that's, you know, consistent with what we found. Couple of additional items that have come up. After we met, it was kind of mentioned potentially to complying with some of the new R5 regulations. And so we went and met with staff to kind of understand some of the new development standards that may be implemented. As part of those, currently the green space in an R5 development is 15%. We are agreeing to increase that to 20% and exclude any wetlands from that. So that is a, you know, substantial increase from what the current R5 is. May or may not be implemented, but we're going to make that sacrifice regardless. In addition, it has been requested, you know, the secondary access that's kind of been mentioned. It's also been requested that we utilize that as a construction entrance to kind of build that first, keep the truck traffic coming in and out of there. And so we agreed to have a secondary access to be utilized both for temporary construction and for the, you know, permanent emergency fire access. So that's kind of a twofold item. Parking requirements. So currently in the R5 district, you are required 2 spaces per unit, including a garage. And there are some additional requirements to go along with that, but we are agreeing to increase that to 3 spaces. So we're going from 2 to 3 for the own lot developments. Now, in addition to that, in R5, even though the county's had that zoning in place for, you know, a year and a half, there's no developments that already exist that have been occupied. So basically several are under construction. But what the R5 requires is, in addition to the 22 or 24 foot roadways, which were in R6, they require you to go to 28 feet so that you can have on-street parking on one side of the road. That will add approximately 70 spaces to our parking. So we're going to 3 per unit, plus approximately 70 spaces, plus it requires an additional 1 space per 5 for overflow. That's also off-street. So we're basically a minimum of 82 additional spaces plus increasing from the 2 to 3 per unit. So substantial increase in parking per the R5 requirements. Amenities have been brought up. And so even though it's not currently in an R5, we are agreeing to include a covered mail kiosk. We are agreeing to covered children's bus stop. In addition to our amenity site, which is, you know, within that 20% open space we're referring to, we're going to have a covered pavilion and playground at a minimum. Now, this is to support the 59 lots roughly associated with our proposed development. So that's a pretty substantial amenity package for 59 lots. That's kind of the things that we're doing that are up and above what the R5. In addition, there have been some discussions regarding the timing of our occupancy. And so it was requested that, you know, we see what we can do with the opening of Effingham Parkway. It is our understanding September 2025 is what is currently posted on Effingham Parkway. We're in agreement that we don't want to open anything, you know, But we also have a commitment that we have to make with our banks and lenders, and a fiduciary responsibility, kind of put some kind of time frame on that. Our request is to go 4 months beyond that. We understand there may be some delays. Currently, it's proposed to September 25. We're proposing to go to January 26. We think that's a reasonable request. We think it's consistent with some things that have been done in the past, and that's kind of what we're going for. So,
You're suggesting January 26th would be the first certificate of occupancy?
so the way it's been done previously is the latter of the completion of the prior of the completion of the roadway, or January 2026.
Okay. Okay.
And I think Brandon may have a few things to say as the applicant as well.
Okay.
Good afternoon. Brandon Long, Brayley Investments. This is a project that I'm kind of heading up here. Not kind, I am. First of all, I want to apologize for not being at the meeting it got tabled on. That's the cardinal rule, and I know you and I joked about that, Chairman, that I wasn't here for something that I had, but I had a commitment that I couldn't get out of. So appreciate y'all tabling it and hearing us out again. I'm just going to touch on a few things. Chad hit the high points and all the details. I just want to point out that from planning board to the last commissioners meeting, we've had zero opposition for this project from neighboring landowners or, landowners, residents, whatnot. We've had zero opposition. Furthermore, would like to talk about the two concerns that y'all have already addressed: Blue Jay Road, which was handled, and the school capacity, which was handled. No need to belabor on that. It's already been discussed. We did meet with staff. One thing I would like to say, is that so when we met with staff, we wanted to check with staff on ideas for the future zoning of R5, to try to get an understanding of what those requirements may be. We understand that they're not even an ordinance yet, but in fact, if they do become an ordinance, we want to be ahead of the game. We want to comply. I have to live here too. What Chad stated about the current ordinance is 15% green space. We agreed to go to 20. We also agreed to the covered mail kiosk, which is not currently a required ordinance. Also, on top of that, we said we would build a covered school bus stop for the children to be out of the weather, while they're waiting on the school bus to pick them up. Also, he had mentioned the amenities package with a playground and a covered pavilion, which the development directly in front of ours has neither. So that's good for the area as well. And, I feel that we've gone over and beyond to comply with current ordinances and even future ordinances that's not even an ordinance yet, but we're trying to work with the county to appease everybody there and do the right thing. So with that said, I would like to thank staff for all their input and help. I'd like to thank Chairman Corbett for helping us out with the schools, and the roadway stuff, and everybody else that's had a part in this. I'd like to say thank you for helping us with this proposed project. And with that being said, I feel like all the boxes have been checked, and even some extra boxes. So if we could get this approved, we'd greatly appreciate it.
Appreciate your input.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Just in fairness of anyone else who's here tonight, is anyone tonight wanting to speak? I'll allow one to speak in opposition to this request tonight. It's not a public hearing, but just to give another side to it. Seeing no one, I'll move on. The board have any discussion or questions?
Yeah. I want to thank you guys for working with me. It's been a good experience. A lot of this is not coming from trying to match future ordinances. A lot of this is coming from replicating what we've done in the past from other ones, asking other people to do certain things. They've done that in order to get things approved, because we're just trying to do a better job. We're not trying to put undue burden on developers or anything like that. We're in this position so we can represent our citizens, whether they're here or not. That's our jobs, and we're supposed to do a good job at that. And I think everybody here tries really hard to do that. I think we're really close on what this is. There's only two things that I would ask that we wait till the parkway is complete. I don't think that's too much to ask for, because that's what the last development did. And the reason why I'm pushing for that, this is not a huge development. Originally, I wanted to really kick the can down the road on everything. The reason being is I know we're going to have some great things coming in the future that's going to apply to these types of developments and everything forward. We're just trying to do better and better. And we even need input from you guys who are on the development side so we can do a better job. You see things probably better than what we do. So my goal was really to push things down the road and wait for these new ordinances and new ideas, because there's probably things we're missing that's going to be really fantastic for future people and future neighborhoods. But I know you guys have worked hard on this. You've been working on it for several months before this. So I wanted to find a way, if we can meet in the middle, to get this pushed through. So if we could do that, I could be on board with it. All I'm doing is what the last person has done. The other thing they did that I liked, and it's not really a big issue, it's they did a minimum standard of vinyl siding of 0.44 millimeters. It's one step up from the super economy grade. They also did some variation changes, I guess, to make things look different, like some siding would go the vertical and some horizontal. I'm not going to ask for that. I would just ask for the 44 millimeter to be a little better product. It's not something when people buy a house they go look at, no, that's too thin, until 5 years later and then it looks terrible. So it's really a protection of that homeowner, protection of the beauty of that neighborhood. But those two things I would like to get done to really get behind this thing. I have 2,000 lots right now in District 2 that are available to put a shovel in the ground and go vertical. We already have traffic problems and everything else. I think it's essential that we start looking at infrastructure as a complete unit before we start adding more to that. We could have all these developed between now and the parkway opening. I hope we don't, but bottom line is we're unsure how that's going to look. And first phase was, okay, let's get infrastructure planned and accept development. Second phase was, okay, now we've got to make sure this stuff is coming down the pipe so we can handle some of the traffic. Now we're in a mode of, or I am at least, I need to see some infrastructure developed so we can handle even take a stab at handling the traffic. It's immense. It's really big. It took me 50 minutes to get here when it's usually 35 minutes just today. I spent 5 to 10 minutes at each intersection in my own district. So it's a real problem, and it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So, I could get behind that, but I would just ask for those two additional things. Okay. I think it'd be a nice development. I really do.
Yeah, come on back to the mic, because we can't tell you what to build with.
Exactly.
So this is just the interest he has, that you can respond to him how you feel.
I understand, and I appreciate it, and it's been a pleasure trying to work through all this stuff with you. Here's the one thing I'm going to say. We are being asked to comply with something that does not exist. We are being asked to put our money in our community to provide a housing, to address a housing shortage, to get home prices back down. We're here to do that. We have met every ordinance asked of us to meet. And I don't mind meeting the parkway. I just have to have a date. I cannot say when it gets done. It took us 21 years on this parkway to get to where we're at today. There's no way.
That's what we're afraid of.
Well, hey, I can't. I mean, that's you know what I mean. But you understand my point of view from a developer.
Let me just ask a real simple question. Do you want to accept either one of those two things he's asking for?
What was the two things? I'm not accepting the one, but I will.
One I'll say, they are offering to make a condition that they would not have a certificate of occupancy till after January of 26th, which is.
What's the current completion date that we think that?
That's 4 months after.
Are we still at September?
As of today, we had a meeting today, as of today, and we pressed them on it today. their date is still September of '25.
Okay.
And so I would suggest that going 4 months beyond the date they've given us, and we did press them on the day, surely we would not be more than a month or two off of that. And and I understand the finance side of this, you have to.
And
work with
there's no
banks.
way of marketing it as well
Understand.
either with an
I
open-ended.
I understand. So that's my thought on the January, puts us 4 months beyond the current date anticipated to be finished. The other thing was the what'd you call it?
.44 millimeter.
44 millimeter on the vinyl if you put vinyl.
That's no big deal. I don't know why that's.
We can't ask it, but you can
We
offer that.
we can do that. That sounds more like a HOA deal to me, but I'm fine with that. We will comply with that, and I will go as far as to.
Let me ask you this way, are you offering that as a condition that you would?
I am.
That's all.
That's right. We'll do that, and I'll also go as far as to try to meet you a little further down the line and go to March 1st of '26.
It's March 1st.
That's 6 months past the current completion date that the county's providing.
I would do that.
Thank
That's
you.
fair enough.
I mean, I think that's
And I
good as we can
appreciate
do. We can
that.
work together. Yes,
No,
sir.
You understand my concern.
I know. I get it.
we gotta-
Believe me, I get it.
I appreciate it, we got a lot of
I've had-
business, I'm gonna encourage us to move
understand.
on. If
Thank
we're-
y'all.
If we're in agreement, I'm
And I
gonna
don't
move
mean to
this.
keep dragging it. I just want to explain myself so we're not.
Understand
Not trying to be
completely.
the bad
Thank
guy
you.
or anything
No,
like that.
And we wouldn't either. That's why we're trying to work with
We've
everybody.
had roundabouts I've had due last year. It's just, things get delayed. And then.
Comments were excellent, and I appreciate it, appreciate y'all working to make this a quality development. So there were several things that they're putting in there as conditions they're offering. Madam Clerk, you'll have that on the recording, but I noted like the 20% green space.
I've got
the-
them listed if you want me to.
Yeah, if you want to list them real quick, that'd be great.
I'll
I
make
tried
the
to note
change
them.
on that. Correct me if I'm wrong on this. Open space increased from 15% to 20% excluding wetlands. Primary, temporary construction entrance to McCall Road, and a permanent fire access to be incorporated into preliminary plat. Is that good?
That's gonna be a long road.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, you're correct, Blue Jay. Off-street parking requirements per dwelling to be increased from 2 to 3. And in parentheses, this does not include on-street parking required in R5, approximately 70 spaces, nor the 1 space per 5-unit overflow of off-street parking, approximately 12 spaces. In other words, 3 spaces per unit. At a minimum, the amenity package shall include covered mail kiosk / children's covered bus stop. And by the way, that can be one and the same. I'm not asking, just want a place to get the kids out of the weather. Covered pavilion and playground. We're also talked about if it could incorporate something with the neighboring neighborhood, they may even do a pool, which would be fantastic. Because
That's not a condition.
That's not a condition.
The
It's
conditions, so I
something
can get them to a
Okay,
motion.
that's the minimum.
Okay, and the two we added was to.
The COs issued as of March
Before March
1st
first,
or after,
unless, that's March
unless
first.
Effingham Park opens before.
March first or.
March 1st or before.
And the last,
And the last one, siding minimum standards, .44 millimeters throughout the development.
all right, this is the motion to approve with the conditions that were just listed. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Burdette, second by Mr. Deloach, to approve this rezoning with the conditions stated. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Hearing no no's, it passes unanimously. All right, we cannot do the second reading because of the conditions we added to it, but we'll do that the third, okay? When you add additional conditions, the two you added, we can't do the second reading tonight, but that's academic, should be. All right, item number 5, under new business, consideration to approve an application by David Seckinger for variance to allow for reduction in required 60-foot access easement located on Ebenezer Road from map number 446, parcel number 19 in the 5th District, postponed from 10/15/24.
Yes, sir. So the applicant is requesting that variance from ordinance section 7.1.18 to allow for that reduction in the required 60-foot access easement. The parcel is currently 15 acres. The applicant would like to subdivide this parcel into 3 5-acre parcels. The access easement is a platted part of that 15 acres. And due to that easement being part of the platted acreage, getting that.
Anyone tonight speaking in opposition to this variance request? If you just raise your hand so I can note. Anyone speaking in opposition? Okay, we got one of, okay, very good.
My name's David Seginger, and thank you all for taking the time to hear me out. Yes, we are requesting a variance from 60 feet through on that driveway. This property was deeded back in either the late 60s or early 70s. I'm sorry, no. Okay. It was deeded back in the late 60s, early 70s. Mr. Tommy Blewett is here can give you more specific information on that and more detailed information, certainly. But at the time it was deeded, it did conform to the county code. And so I would hope that that would be an important consideration in your decision-making. And maybe this, hopefully this would be grandfathered in, since at the time they did go to the pains to make sure it did conform to the county code at the time. It is 15 acres, 15.048 to be exact, divided into 3 parcels. My plan is that the driveway itself would be part of 1 5-acre parcel, and then the other 2 5-acre parcels. All 3 households would contribute to the maintenance of this driveway. It'd be owned by one, but all 3 would contribute equally to the maintenance of the driveway. That owns and lives on property next to it, and so I wouldn't do that to them. I'm not looking to try to have this rezoned for 15 or 20 houses. We want to keep it AR1, 5 acres. But I also want to make sure it maintains the standards of the community and that there are no trailers on there. So I think that's all that I have.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
All right, anyone speaking in opposition that'd like to speak?
I'm Renee Anderson. I live on adjoining property. As we spoke last time, I have a house on the other side of me that also has an easement. It is built up. My land holds water already on that side. I'm concerned on 20 feet how you're gonna have 3 households on 20 feet of road with no ditches, how you're gonna have no drainage problem. Or what's the promise of no drainage problems? So that's where I stand. I don't believe it was, as you stated at the last meeting, I don't believe when it was broken off, it was intended to be separated into 3 lots. And where's the plan in this is my question. On the runoff is my main question.
Okay,
And I don't believe you can do it. And like I said, I'm 30 feet from that road, and my house was there before the road was ever, the driveway right away was ever granted.
or you're the 446-18?
Yes, sir.
Plat? Gotcha.
Is there a road there currently?
He had it cleared out last year about this time. There's no road, it's just,
How's that affected you so far?
it hasn't affected me so far, but it's been woods, so it has built up over time. And I'm just knowing what's happened on the other side of my property, especially with all the rain we've currently had, it's showing what's changing and what's, what
Yeah.
runoff is a concern.
It's a legitimate concern. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Say something to that.
Yeah, you can, one response, go ahead.
And maybe this helps clarify, but when you look at the property, the houses that would be built would be approximately 200 yards from her house. So they're way back, because that's a long driveway that goes back there. And so as far as, I would hope as far as any drainage concerns, that would not be a concern, because the driveway goes the entire length of her property.
Yeah, I cannot speak to what drainage is gonna do.
Right.
I don't know if anybody on this board can speak to that tonight.
I understand.
But there is a reason why there's usually a 60-foot easement. It's probably to take care of some of those types of things and have the opportunity to take care of. My concern would be on 20-foot, do you have the opportunity, if it becomes a drainage issue, as it gets compacted and gets hard, is it gonna be fixable? I don't know. That's beyond what I can I don't understand those things, but anyway.
Yeah, I'm not a geologist.
But I can understand the concern of the constituent on that one. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right, I'm gonna close the public hearing. I think both sides have heard, and see if there's any discussion from the board. I want to ask this question, though. I understand that our ordinance requires 60 foot to get platted, right?
So our ordinance currently, for county standards is 60 feet. If the variance is granted, they can plat this. I mean, it's already part of the platted, acreage.
What's part of the platted acreage?
The driveway here, so.
Right, but
so-
not the 3 lots.
Right, no.
They're trying to plat 3 different lots, right?
Right, so, should this be approved, at the end of this, driveway here, it would then have to be, should he split it, say he splits it in 3 like this, this part, the easement going to the other 2 parcels would have to be 60 feet, for county standards. Does that make sense?
Okay. So the issue is you can't plat it unless we give the variance.
Yes, sir.
So you can't sell it as a divided,
Right, yes, sir.
as a minor subdivision. Okay, just make sure I understood the issue.
Yes, sir.
It's an
Any
odd
question from the board?
parcel for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that was my concern. You know, if, I would think you would have to build up that drive at some point to keep it from flooding or whatever. And if you do that, how do you ditch 20 feet of property? It's gonna be difficult. If it's just one person out there, fine, I guess it would be okay. You could actually, if you had to create a ditch, you could, and then you've got one way in, one way out. You could not put 2 cars side by side. If you've got 3 parcels back there with different families, I'm just wondering if that would create a problem. And now we've heard in the past when we have private roads, been issues after issue with private roads, and this is gonna be one tiny little road. And
That would only allow you 10 foot per lane, and that's pretty
if you put a
narrow.
ditch there, then you got one car instead of 2. If it needs it, I mean, it's really an engineering question. I'm not qualified to comment on
The
it.
road, though, ain't gonna drain the property. The road is only 20 foot. I mean, that's, I mean, as far as the lots back there draining on the property, that's still 1 parcel per 5 acres. Unless it's
Still, regardless if it's one lot or 3.
yeah,
I
there's gonna be a
mean,
road.
Somebody's gonna be using that road regardless.
Yeah. And he's got access to it through that.
So
20 foot.
technically through sketch plan is where we would address drainage, correct? That's my opinion. So, I mean, they thought they were going by the, or they were going by the current standards, and now they are not, and there's people, it's kind of like the situation we had last meeting, in District 3, where they had 30 feet, but there was different landowners on each side. So, I mean, they don't have the option, but regardless, I mean, somebody's gonna be using that access.
Right. So, I mean,
Yeah, it's just determined whether it's gonna be 1 or 3.
yeah, there's gonna be a road
Yes, some
there.
help with Jonathan?
Hey, Mr. Chairman, Jonathan Holm, County Engineer. Ebenezer, where it's located at, it's kind of a high point, and this lot in particular, I was looking at the contours. It primarily drains to the back, I think that's Lochner Creek.
Yeah, I can
With
see
that
the creek.
driveway, I agree with what Mr. Deloach is pointing out, is that there's someone gonna be going down there regardless with the driveway, but the majority of the drainage coming back is gonna be drained towards the back anyway.
With the creek
So-
I'm looking at right there, I see it, yeah.
That's right, and it'll drain down, actually following that driveway all the way back would be my assumption, just based off the contour data. I don't see there's not a lot of, cross drainage going either which way. But, I mean, Yeah, I mean, there's a driveway that's there, I guess, today theoretically with one lot, so. And then the amount of drainage, we would have to review that,
That'd
you
be
know.
during the site plan.
That's right, during the
Figure out
site
how to
plan.
not put water on her property and stuff like that.
Yes, sir.
Or additional water.
That's right, and make sure that they're not
That
releasing
was my
any.
only concern.
So if someone buys a lot
have the
and they
shops
want to
to-
build
to
it, you'll be
comment
looking at
on
the site
that.
plan to make sure it's not going to put water on her property.
Any faster than it is today. That's
Any
correct.
faster than it is right now. Right,
Right.
gotcha. I get
Yes,
it.
sir.
Okay,
All right. Good information. I appreciate it. And I
Thank you.
appreciate what you're saying.
that helps.
It was in compliance at the time, and I think you're making a point. It's 5-acre tracts. It's not like
Yeah,
we're subdividing this into
True.
1-acre tracts. So
Exactly.
1, 3, I hear your concern, but I think probably through the sketch plan and drainage, we can address those things to protect your property. And
Okay.
it complied at one time, so it's just not complying with our ordinance. So anyway, that's the discussion. I'll see if there's any motion to approve or
Well,
deny.
a question I have that the applicant made, he said this would be, he wants it to be houses there.
Yeah.
So do we need to make that a condition? Can we make that a condition since the applicant
That's a good question.
I don't
made that
know,
comment?
Tim, is that legal for someone to say you can only build a house on this piece of property without an association?
He can put a deed restriction on as he sells the property, and if he's gonna make that voluntary condition, I'd let him make the voluntary condition tonight. I wouldn't put the condition on there,
Okay.
but yes, he can deed restrict it too.
Mr. Second, you come
Go.
back to the microphone one last time. Are you offering a voluntary condition that it'll be houses, that it'd have to be a stick-built house?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
all right. So, and you're gonna put that on the plat, the deed or whatever?
Yeah, it'll be in the sales agreement or wherever it needs to be.
I think it has
Yes.
to be on the plat. So when they research it, somebody wants to buy it, they say, this has a restriction. It can only have a stick-built house.
Okay.
Ms. Chelsea, do I have that right?
Yes, sir, so it'll be in the deed and then, we'll, on the plat as well.
Okay,
Okay.
very good.
Yes, sir.
So you're offering that?
Yes,
Sounds
I'm
good.
good
All
with
right.
that, absolutely.
So with that condition that Mr. Seconds is offering, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Floyd to approve with the condition of a stick-built house only being noted on the deed. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Hearing no nos, it passes unanimously. We can't do the second reading because it's a condition, but we'll do it next meeting, okay? Sometimes it's about finding solutions that keep us working together. It's not maybe what we all want, but hopefully it'll work for the good of both. Item number 7, the planning board recommends approval of a request by Kern and Company LLC, Chad Zitrauer as agent for the University of Georgia Foundation, Mike Hunter to rezone 73 out of 1,338 acres located on Georgia Highway 17 from AR1 to PDMR to allow for the expansion of an existing borrow pit. Map number 353, parcel number 3 in the 1st District.
Yes, sir. So again, the applicant is requesting to rezone. I will say that on your staff report, there is a small, error. It should say 73 acres, not 25. It is the total of 73 acres to PDMR to allow for the expansion of the existing surface mine. In January of 2019, the Board of Commissioners did initially rezone the 48 acres to I-1 for the original surface mine. And since that rezoning, the ordinance governing surface mines has been updated. And so for this expansion and for the original surface mine, we are moving to the Planned Development Mining Reclamation, which is what PDMR stands for. So the future land use map does project this parcel as conservation recreation because it is under that University of Georgia Foundation. This application was received on August 20th, 2024 at 9:52 a.m. So that was before the commencement of the moratorium. At the planning board, Mr. Ryan Thompson did motion for approval, but he did add the following condition that Mr. Zitrauer and the county engineer were to meet with Ms. Grassi to better understand the surface mine's history and how it has affected Ms. Grassi's property. And I think that meeting was had But staff has reviewed the application, and if approved, the rezoning will meet the criteria of the ordinance with the conditions that are stated on your staff report.
All right, we'll open a public hearing. Anyone tonight speaking in favor of this variance request?
Yes, good evening again. Chad Zittrow with Kern & Company. Also with me tonight is Story Marlowe with C.W. Matthews Construction. They are the operator of the existing pit and will also be the operator of the expansion under the assumption it's approved. As stated, this is, it reads as 73 acres, but this is a 25-acre expansion. At the planning board and subsequently, there have been a few complaints, two that kind of contradict one another. One saying they're getting too much water in their backyard, one saying that we're taking a little bit too much water out of their backyard and it's dewatering their pond. We have investigated this, a good bit, and we think we've got a rational, reasonable solution that which we've already began to implement. So right now, our stormwater, our discharge location is at one position. We're sending all the water in one direction to the north. And that's kind of getting back there to some of the houses along Roebling, some additional ponding. Most have indicated that this began to occur within the last 3 to 5 months, which is when some of the heavier storms and hurricanes. And full disclosure, we've been pumping and dewatering more water in the past 3 to 5 months than we have over the past 3 to 5 years when we really haven't had any issues. So as part of what we're doing, we're kind of expanding the outfall ditch and putting 3 different discharge locations. That will allow all the water to discharge into the wetlands at different locations, but we can also kind of control. If, this area is getting too much, we can send more to the east where the primary outfall is. So we feel like we've got a good plan. Mr. Floyd was gracious enough to kind of meet us out there and kind of show us what we were doing. We do not want to impact the neighbors. I mean, we operate this, UGA owns this, we want to represent them well, and we're going to make everything, do everything we can. One thing I will note to this, while this is an expansion, it is important to, in my opinion, to understand that doesn't mean we're increasing the amount of runoff. For a mining operation, a bar pit, you're taking on groundwater and you're getting it out of that area. And so even though the bar pit area is expanding, the same amount of water is coming into the bottom of it. So we're not going to be increasing the runoff from what it's been the last 3 to 5 years.
There's no issues with that, no code enforcement issues. Very good. All right. Anyone else tonight speaking in favor or someone that like to speak in opposition to this request of rezoning? See no one coming forward, I'll close the public hearing.
Ways from any residents. I don't think this expansion is going to have an impact.
Well, it's on Highway 17, so I always like when we put borrow pits on state highways,
Oh, yeah.
not on county roads, so it's a good location.
Hey, and they had a sweeper over there cleaning up too. That was, I appreciate that.
All right, if there's no other discussion, is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion that we approve alternative 1.
Second.
Was there any conditions from staff or other that I need to note with that motion?
So the conditions, I'll read those to you that were placed on it. That it shall meet the requirements of section 3.17, that's excavation, mining, ponds, and fills
I'm
of
sorry.
land.
I'm gonna save you time. I see the 5 things listed here. So the motion is to approve with staff and planning board recommendations?
Yes.
Okay. And then is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Burdette. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Hearing no no's, it passes unanimously. Thank you. I wasn't gonna make you read them all, just
No,
I
thank
was
you.
thinking we didn't add those conditions in there. All right, there's no new conditions, so second reading, consideration to approve a second reading of a request by Kern and Company LLC, Chad Zittrow as agent for the University of Georgia Foundation, Mike Hunter, to rezone 73 out of 1,338 acres located at Georgia Highway 17 from AR1 to PDMR to allow for the expansion of the existing borrow pit, map number 353, parcel number 3 in the 1st District. Motion to approve second reading.
Make a motion to approve the second reading.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Floyd, second by Mr. Burdette to approve the second reading. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Hearing no no's, it passes unanimously.
Thank you.
All right, it is 6 o'clock. Do we need to move to our, we don't have that many planning board items. Can we knock those out real quick? Okay. We're gonna go to planning board items. Item number 1 was tabled, so item number 2 is consideration to approve an application by Charles Thompson and Nan Branch for a variance located at 819 Ralph Ron Road to allow for reduction in required building setbacks. Map number 411, parcel number 36 in the 4th District.
Yes, sir. So the applicant requests a variance from section 5.1.4 to allow for the reduction in required building setbacks. The applicant would like their home to face Ralph Ron Road, and due to the irregular size of the lot, the proposed home will not meet the required setbacks for AR1. You do have those required setbacks on your staff report. This is a replacement of a previous home that was on the lot. The future land use map does have this parcel designated as agricultural residential. The variance will be for the front setback, which will be 21 feet, 50 feet in the front, 50 feet in the back, and 25 to each side. And then that is how the house would.
That's about the only way it's going to
It's a true hardship if you're trying to build a house.
So staff has reviewed the application, and if approved, the variance will meet the criteria of the current ordinance with the condition that a building permit shall be obtained and meet all of the applicable building codes.
Do you happen to know what the right-of-way that we own on Ralph Ron is at this point?
I do not know it. Tim, do you know what the right-of-way on Ralph Ron is?
Oh, the width of it? Not on Ralph Ron, I'd have to find out.
Well, if that isn't any concern, only concern would be 29 feet from the road or from the right-of-ways. I'm assuming that's what it is. If we ever, and I don't want to be short-sighted, 20 years from now, you had to 4-lane that road or put a 3rd lane in it, is that going to put the house within 15 foot of the highway? It would be better to, push it, give the variance more in the back instead of the front. It may not be an issue. If we got 100 foot, it's probably not an issue. But if we got 60 foot, I don't know what the market is.
Good point.
I can give
You
a
think
rough
about what
estimate.
you think about Blanford Road in Rankin, what that is, At one time, they were off the road, but now they're looking at 3-lane in that, so. Because it looks like you could move it back a little bit, and it would impact future road improvements. Is there any way, Jonathan, we can determine that real quickly? Where's Jonathan at? Nobody else has a concern besides
I
me.
can give an estimate, assuming that what we have which generally is right, it does look like a substantial right-of-way that we have on Ralph Ron.
I would think it would be. I just don't want to be short-sighted and find we have 60 foot, and now we need to do 3 lanes 20 years from now. I'll be with Jesus, so it won't matter to me, but,
It looks like
So what you're saying is move it further
75 feet.
towards the back.
yeah.
It's still in a regular lot, it's still going to not.
Yeah, it's still gonna need a variance. I just
Yeah.
don't know,
It looks like approximately 75 feet.
75 feet. And I don't know how much you need to put a 3rd lane in there, but I can see Ralph Ron having that one day. All those east-west directions. Is that something we need to consider, staff? I mean,
I'm looking at the width of the current road right now and how much right-of-way is on each side. And it does look like you've got a comfortable amount
so you're
to
comfortable with
get
the
an
right-of-way?
extra lane there. We're not going to be putting multi-use trails, I don't imagine, on Ralph Ron.
I don't think so in the next 20 years, but we don't know what the next 20 years, so don't be
No,
short-sighted.
I'm just saying, if you're talking about just for a 3rd lane,
Yeah,
I think there's adequate right-of-way.
I got you. All right, that answers my question. All right, is there any other discussion? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve with staff and planning board recommendations.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Burdette, second by Mr. Floyd. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no.
That was Jamie on
What did I say?
Burdette.
Golly, I did that last time.
Your mom's gone, she didn't see that.
All right, Mr. Deloach made the motion,
Yes, sir.
and Mr. Burdette,
No,
Floyd made the
Floyd.
second. Got the second right, okay.
Loach and Floyd.
I don't want to keep wanting to put this on you. so
We had my name
do it all
tag
the
one
time
time.
now. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Hearing no nays, it passes unanimously. Second reading, consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Charles Thompson and Nan Branch for a variance located at 819 Ralph Ron Road to allow for a reduction in required building setbacks. Map number 411, parcel number 36 in the 4th District. Motion to approve the second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Floyd to approve the second reading. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Hearing no nos, it passes unanimously. Item number 4, under Planning Board items, consideration to approve an application by Kevin Souza for a variance located at 105 Share Lane to allow for a reduction in an accessory structure setback, map number 326, parcel A. Map number 326A, parcel number 6 in the 1st District.
Yes, sir. So the applicant is requesting a variance from section 6.2.3 to allow for that reduction in accessory structure setbacks. Per the applicant, the accessory structure is 7 feet from the primary dwelling. So the variance will be for 3 feet, per the Effingham County Code of Ordinance. For the accessory structure, the distance required, from the home is 10 feet. This accessory structure is already constructed, so you do, just so you have that information. And this is an active code enforcement case, and the applicant is working to come into compliance. Staff has reviewed the application, and if it is approved, the variance will meet the criteria of the current ordinance, again with that condition that the building permit shall be obtained for this, and adhere to all regulations set forth by the International Building Code.
So let me clarify. So the code enforcement issue is the distance from the home.
The code enforcement issue is that they did not have a building permit.
Okay, let me back up. But far as the ordinance, it should be 10 foot and they're at 7
Right, and
foot.
it's only 7 feet.
It's not the
Yes,
side
sir.
setback, it's the,
It's,
from the.
no, it's the.
It looks like it's on the property line too.
Yeah,
So
I
this
think
is-
those lines are incorrect.
This is actually, just a little bit off,
Okay.
so
More
it
like
is
the fence line.
Oh, I see
more
the
of the fence line, yes, sir.
Okay.
But I
So
figured-
the to the property line is good, it's just to the home.
Oh,
So the biggest
okay.
impact is actually on their own home,
Yes, sir.
not their neighbor. Okay.
When was it built?
I can look that information up for you, one moment.
One that we found on the.
Anyway,
Seen a lot of these.
GI, these keep coming, is the GIS, who's
Yes,
finding
and
these
so
things?
that's what I was gonna get to, is that, GIS, you all approved, I believe it was last year when we did our, aerial flyovers, to do something that's called Change Finder, which essentially finds, structures, swimming pools, that sort of thing, that were built but are not in the system, which means they didn't have a permit. So
Can't hide
these
from Big
will be
Brother
popping
no
up from
more.
time to time.
let me ask you another question, not related to this variance, I guess, but was this done by a contractor or by the individual themselves?
I believe by the individual, he may have had a contractor come in. Because I don't have a permit, I don't have the
Well,
information.
something's gotta be done here. You know, contractors that build for people that don't get permits, they might need to be banned for a certain period of time from building in Effingham County, because we can't keep having these variances. There's a reason why we do these things, you know, and, if we're gonna approve them every time somebody circumvents the process, what's
So
the use of
I-
having a process?
Our ordinance does state that if a structure is built without a permit and then is brought into compliance, it is, of course, double permitting fees. So that is one way that we are able to help circumvent, situations like this, but, definitely worth looking into, contractors.
Yeah, we need to look at what kind of penalties can we put on contractors and whatever if they do
I
this.
think with the new GIS system, we're gonna have a flood of these coming in over time.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Mr. Chairman, should you decide, should the board decide that this is not appropriate, one of the options that the homeowner does have, is to connect this by a breezeway, to their home, but then they would have to, of course, come back for a variance for the home setbacks, because they would be out of compliance for that,
Yeah.
so.
Nah, I'm not,
the issue, it'd be a bigger issue if there was an impact on a neighbor.
right.
With
I
this
agree. I want to address that. We gotta find a way to address the contractors, put a little bit of concern if
applicant
they
here?
do something for somebody,
Yeah.
you know. Okay. Any other discussion?
Well, no, you hadn't opened up to the public yet. We've been discussing
Oh.
it the whole time.
I'm sorry. Anyone not speaking in favor or opposition to this, variance request? Seeing no one, will close the public hearing now. I entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the variance. Like I said, this doesn't affect his neighbor. It's more on
Second.
his property.
Motion by Mr. Floyd, second by Mr. Burdette to approve the variance. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Hearing no nos, it passes unanimously. Second reading, consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Kevin Souza for a variance located at 105 Share Lane to allow for a reduction in accessory structures setbacks, map number 326, parcel A, and 326A, parcel number 6 in the first district. Motion to approve second reading.
Make a motion to approve the second reading.
Second.
Motion Mr. Floyd, second Mr. Burdette to approve the second reading. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Hearing no nos, it passes unanimously.
Quick question, is Kevin here? Kevin, was your father Armin Souza? I worked with him for years at the power company. I didn't know that until, there ain't many Souzas out there.
All right, we have new business to cover. Do we want to press on? Or do you need a little break?
Depends on how long people
I can
want to
take-
talk about chickens.
So what's,
Let's press on. If we need a break, we'll take a break, okay? Item number 1 under new business, consideration to approve the first reading to amend Part 2 Official Code, Chapter 10, Animals, Section 10-112, Keeping Afoul
Oh my
of the
gosh.
Effingham County Code of Ordinances.
The world, the chicken people back.
Again,
Chicken ordinance.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Samantha Easton, Planner 2. So there was a typo in the one we adopted back in April, when we changed it from the 4 hens to 4 hens and a rooster. One of the things didn't get changed to say 5 in total, so that's one thing we're changing. We're also going to change the name from Backyard Hen to Backyard Flock, because now we allow 1 rooster. And we are also, we specifically mentioned platted, non-conforming AR1 subdivisions. So this would be like Westwood Heights or something like that. They're technically, as it is right now, they can adhere to somebody who has a conforming AR1 lot, and they can have as many chickens as they like. So doing this makes them have to adhere to the R1 guidelines as well. So staff recommends alternative 1.
All right, we don't need a public hearing on this, I don't guess. Didn't say.
No, this is business.
There's no discussion. I'll make a motion to approve alternative 1.
second.
I'll take that motion from Mr. Deloach, second Mr., who made the second?
Both, either one of us.
Mr. Burdette. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Hearing no nos, it passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 2, consideration to approve an engagement letter between Effingham County Board of Commissioners and Lanier Deal Proctor Blosser for audit services for the fiscal year June 30th, 24.
Good afternoon, Mark Barnes, Finance Director. This is the standard engagement letter that we get each year from the auditors. This is for fiscal year 2024, which that audit is underway. The fee has gone up slightly this year by about $2,000. Staff recommends alternative number 1 to approve the engagement letter.
Is there a motion to approve alternative 1?
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Deloach, second, Mr. Floyd, to approve alternative 1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Hearing no nos, it passes unanimously. Item number 3, consideration to approve resolution number 24-038 to amend the fiscal year 2025 budget.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is a minor budget amendment that covers a number of about 7 different miscellaneous items. The description is in there for each one of those. If there's any questions, I'll answer those, but otherwise, staff recommends alternative number 1.
They look pretty simple. Is there any quick discussion or motion for alternative 1?
Make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Deloach, second, Mr. Burdette, to approve alternative 1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Hearing no nos, it passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 4, consideration to approve a site plan for Old Augusta Road Industrial located on Old Augusta Road, Zone I-1, map number 477A, parcel number 10 in the 5th District.
Good evening. Liz Sapp, Land Use Planning Analyst. Thomas and Hutton request approval for a site plan on Old Augusta Road Industrial located on Old Augusta Road. It's zoned I-1. In 2013, this parcel was rezoned from AR1 to I-1 as decided during the BOC meeting during August 2nd, 2022. The site is approximately 24.32 acre lot. The applicant proposes 2 warehouses with 43 tractor trailer spaces each, for a total warehouse square footage of 297,276 square feet. The proposed development has 2 access points off of Old Augusta Road These access points do meet all design requirements for Effingham County. The floodplain boundary depicted in the exhibit comes from a study that was completed and approved by FEMA in July 2022. The applicant is aware that completed elevation certificates are required and must comply with all FEMA standards prior to releasing a certificate of occupancy. A wetlands delineation has been completed by the applicant, and all the wetlands shown on the site do match the delineation by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Staff recommends approval of the site plan for Old Augusta Road with the following conditions. All FEMA elevation certificates must comply and must be submitted to the county prior to a CO. The finished site will meet all wetland delineations as required by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. The finished site will meet all ADA accessible requirements and will be reviewed by Development Plan Review. Site shall meet all access and emergency response operation requirements for emergency responders. The site and warehouses shall meet all emergency responder radio coverage requirements per the International Fire Code. The site will maintain a 25-foot buffer around the property. A traffic study will need to be done as per the county engineer. An MOU will need to be established for the tie-in to the roundabout. Staff approves alternative number 1.
And buffers are good along the roadway?
Yes, sir.
Probably already said that, okay. Just Commissioner Kiefer just asked me to ask that, so thank you for clarifying
Very
that.
welcome.
He wanted a sketch plan as well. I guess this is a sketch plan of what it's gonna be?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
The only question I have was on the wetland acres, have they been mitigated? Because I guess a 1.64, would that have to be mitigated?
It has,
Center of it?
yes, sir, that's correct,
Okay.
yep.
So I know the top of it didn't have to be, because it was part of the plan, but I saw the middle of it.
Yes, sir.
That's the only question I had.
Any other discussion, or is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second Mr. Burdette, to approve alternative 1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Hearing no no's, it passes unanimously. Item number 5, consideration to approve a site plan for Senristas?
I believe it's Sanritsu Logistics.
Sanritsu?
Yes, sir.
Senris, okay. Logistics located at 100 Savannah Portside International Parkway, Zone I-1, map number 329, parcel number 4 in the 5th District.
Liz Sapp, Land Use Planning Analyst. Evans is requesting approval of the site plan for Senritsu Logistics located at 100 Savannah Portside International Parkway, zoned I-1. The site is approximately 8.008 acre lot. The warehouse is approximately 59,940 square feet. The proposed development has one access point off of Savannah Portside International Parkway. The access points meet all design requirements for Effingham County. A wetland delineation has been completed by the applicant, and the wetlands shown on the site plan do match the delineation by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. If approved, the Senritsu Logistics will meet the following conditions. The finished site will meet all wetland delineations as required by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. The finished site will meet all ADA accessible requirements and will be reviewed at Development Plan Review. The site shall meet all access and emergency response operation requirements for emergency responders. The site and warehouses shall meet all emergency responder radio coverage requirements per the International Fire Code. The septic is currently under review by Effingham County Health Department and must comply. Staff recommends alternative number 1 for approval.
Okay, any discussion or motion?
I'll make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Burdette, to approve alternative 1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Hearing no no's, it passes unanimously. Item number 6, consideration to approve the site plan for Coastal Empire Concrete Services headquarters located at 895 Ebenezer Road, Zone B3, map number 466, parcel number 31 in the 5th District.
Liz Sapp, Land Use Planning Analyst. Maupin Engineering is requesting approval of a site plan for Coastal Empire Concrete Service headquarters located at 895 Ebenezer Road, Zoned B3. The site is approximately 1.6 acre lot. The applicant proposes 2 buildings, 1 existing and a new storage shed. There is a 50-foot buffer surrounding the entire site. The site is served by an on-site well and no septic, with no change to the existing septic system, and no additional bathrooms or plumbing fixtures are to be installed. The proposed business has 2 small access points off of Ebenezer Road. These access points do meet all design requirements for Effingham County, and a GDOT permit will be required for work within the right-of-way. 10 parking spaces will be provided on site. If approved, Coastal Empire Concrete Service Headquarters must meet the following conditions. The finished site will meet all ADA accessible requirements and will be reviewed at development plan review, and the site shall meet all access and emergency response operation requirements for emergency responders. Staff recommends alternative number 1.
Thank you.
Is this a ready-mix type business? What is it?
I think this is just office building for the main thing, from what I gather. It's not a concrete business.
Okay.
That's the first thing I saw was, oh, concrete. But
Right.
it's
That's a
just their
small one,
offices.
Just
Okay.
office, yes, sir.
Gotcha.
This is actually right around the corner from Phil's house.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, any other discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve alternative 1.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Floyd to approve alternative 1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Hearing no nos, it passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 7, consideration to approve a warranty deed by and between Greenland Development LLC and the Board of Commissioners of Effingham County, Georgia, for the acceptance of .83 acres of right-of-way along Blue Jay Road.
Yes, sir. Chelsea Fernald, Senior Planner, filling in for Mr. Steve Candler as he rests from his shoulder surgery. The right-of-way along Blue Jay Road is located in front of Blandford Crossing subdivision, is approximately 35 feet wide and 670 feet long, of that .83 acres. It is being dedicated to the county by Greenland developers and will assist the county with improvements to Blue Jay Road. Staff recommends alternative number 1.
And,
Okay. Is there
Mr.
any
Chairman, that is actually, this helps us a lot because that is actually the area that we were looking to widen to 4
Do the
lanes.
4 lanes on this phase 2 or 3 of that?
10-4.
Just as a point of clarification, Brett Bennett, Greenland Developers, I don't know if it matters that it's Greenland Developers, Inc., not LLC, just for clarification.
There may be an LLC out there. that's
Oh,
green.
good, it's just the ink, so you can be sued. All right. Thank you for that, appreciate it, buddy. Any discussion or motion for alternative 1?
Make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Burdette, second by Mr. Deloach for alternative 1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Hearing no nos, it passes unanimously. Item number 8, consideration to approve an easement agreement for a property located at 2850 Highway 17 North at the county fire station. Map number 268, parcel number 22A.
Yes, sir. So the easement agreement is for 2850 Highway 17 North, Guyton, at the county fire station. The easement is 15 feet for an overhead distribution line. This distribution has been in place for several years with no easement, so this is to record what already exists. Staff recommends alternative number 1.
Is there any discussion or motion for alternative 1?
Make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Burdette, second by Mr. Deloach for alternative 1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Hearing no nos, it passes unanimously. Item number 9, consideration to approve a memorandum of understanding between Effingham County and Effingham County Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, sir. Danielle Carver, Procurement and Capital Projects Manager. Effingham County is looking to renew its partnership with the Effingham County Chamber of Commerce through a new memorandum of understanding for the upcoming year. The chamber will focus on attracting small to mid-sized business, promoting tourism, supporting local businesses, and work on workforce development with schools and businesses. For these efforts, the county will provide $20,500 annually, along with strategic guidance to align with economic goals. The agreement also includes benefits like complimentary access to chamber events for county staff and board members, as well as business recovery support during emergencies. To ensure accountability, the chamber will provide regular progress updates. So staff recommends alternative 1.
I'm glad we're increasing the support and getting some additional
And what's our membership level? Will that change?
Yes.
Go up from
Yeah.
silver to?
We were at about 10, is that what we were?
I forget what it is. I think it's like Premier or Platinum. I don't know what they call it. It upgrades it.
Yeah, okay.
From the current level.
I'd say.
Well,
for
thank
the
you,
work-
Susan,
Yeah.
for working with us
Oh, yeah,
on
I'm
that.
sorry,
Yeah,
Susan's
she
back
did.
here.
And I would say that's a great deal for what we get. They
Yeah.
work really hard.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Susan
it.
has brought a lot of energy to the
Yeah.
chamber. What a plus it has been. So I'm excited about you coming with some ideas and thoughts and helping us. I
Yeah.
didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
You are a community partner, which is our
Yeah.
highest level.
But thank you so much in the chamber. All right, I'm glad to see this finally getting across the finish line. Is there any other discussion or motion for alternative one?
Make a motion to approve alternative one.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Burdette for alternative one. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Hearing no nos, it passes unanimously. Item number 10, consideration to approve change order number 1 for environmental delineation and boundary survey work required for various small park renovations.
Yes, sir. The county is requesting approval for change order number 1 to proceed with environmental delineation and boundary surveys required for small parks renovation. For the project, initially based on GIS and National Wetland Inventory data, the project now requires detailed site-specific information to complete final designs and meet permitting standards. This change order expands the scope to include water resource delineation for parks such as Baker Lake, Clio Community Center, and the Effingham Rec Center. Additionally, boundary and topographic surveys will be conducted at Atlas Sand Mine, Tommy Long Boat Ramp, Meldrum Park, and Pinorio Park. Accurate data from these tasks will allow the county to advance design phases and maintain compliance. The proposed funding source for the 2025 capital projects budget, so staff recommends alternative 1.
Okay, any discussion? Motion?
Make a motion, we approve alternative one.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Floyd, second by Mr. Deloach to approve alternative 1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Hearing no nos, it passes unanimously. Item number 11, consideration to approve the professional service proposal from Hussey Gay Bell for engineering services related to the reuse water main extension along Blue Jay Road.
Yes, sir. This project involves constructing approximately 21,300 linear feet of reuse water main and a dechlorination station, enhancing water reuse infrastructure from Georgia Highway 17 to the Ogeechee River, and connecting the proposed water reclamation facility expansion to the Bobby C. Smith Energy Facility. Hussey Gay Bell's services include topographic surveys, wetland delineation and permitting, easement preparation and acquisition, preliminary and final designs, permitting coordination, bid assistance, and construction administration. Staff recommends alternative 1.
Wow. $536,000 to design this thing. That's not even to build it. Any discussion? Motion?
Make a motion, we approve alternative one.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Floyd, second by Mr. Burdette to approve alternative 1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Hearing no nos, it passes unanimously.
Thank you.
I think 12 and 13 has been removed, right?
Yep. Going to item number 14, consideration to approve a proposal from Coleman Company for the Shimmering Dale easement.
Afternoon, Jonathan Holm, County Engineer. Shimmerdale neighborhood, as we've discussed before in the past, there's a drainage issue that's been there, and there's record drawings that indicate that there's a drainage easement that's supposed to be there. So this proposal is going to include survey to confirm that that we can actually drain out towards the back as indicated in the record drawings, and then also the plat work, the plat preparation work to get the easement actually official. So staff is recommending alternative number 1.
Very good. Got to see that getting this done. Is there any discussion or motion for alternative 1?
Make a motion for alternative one.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Floyd, second Mr. Deloach for alternative one. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Hearing no nos, it passes unanimously.
Jonathan, are you still in touch with Ms. Hoover, keeping her updated? Okay, thanks.
Gonna be giving her a call right after this.
Great, thank you.
Item number 15, consideration to approve condemnation resolution 24-039 related to a property located on Goshen and Hodgeville Road.
Mr. Chairman, this is related to project I-08B roundabout at Goshen Road and Hodgeville Road. It's a resolution for condemnation related to parcel 5 in that project. Ronnie Lewis, our negotiator, has pretty much exhausted all efforts to negotiate a settlement. So we're proposing a resolution to start the condemnation proceedings.
Okay, thank you, sir. Is there any discussion or motion?
Make a motion to approve alternative one.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Burdette, second by Mr. Deloach to approve alternative one. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Hearing no nos, it passes unanimously. Item number 16, consideration to approve a development agreement for Earl Lane Road related to infrastructure improvements.
Yes, sir. So, the Westgate Development Agreement is for Earl Lane Road, extending from Collick-Helmley Road to Hodgeville Road. The developer will construct, install, upgrade, and/or expand water, sewer, drainage, roadway improvements, and infrastructure. The county will be responsible for 1.6 million of the 6 million total. Staff recommends alternative number 1.
Very good. Any discussion? Motion for alternative one?
Make a motion to approve alternative one.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Burdette, second by Mr. Floyd for alternative one. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Hearing no nos, it passes unanimously. It's a good partnership. I'm glad we're getting that done. That'd be great. Item number 17, consideration to approve a development agreement for the Collick-Helmley Roundabout for Brunson Station.
Mr. Chairman, this is amending an existing agreement, whereas the scope of the roundabout, this is for a roundabout at the entrance of, at where Collick-Helmley and 30 meet. And since there was a development on the other side there, the developer, during the approval process of the rezoning, had agreed to contribute. It did have dollar figures in the original agreement. Obviously, the county controls 3 sides of that process, and they're one side. So what we've agreed to do, since GDOT's design requirements have increased the cost, and costs have gone up, is to just increase basically pro rata from what the original percentages were estimated at. And so that would be the county's responsibility would be 87%.
83.
83%. And the developer's responsibility would be 17%. And I just asked that you, we were kind of negotiating to the last minute, just agree to approve the agreement with a percentage, which those percentages.
Okay. Is there any discussion, or is there a motion to amend the agreement to include the percentages of 83, 17%, 83 county, 17 developer?
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Burdette, second by Mr. Deloach. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Hearing no nos, it passes unanimously. All right, that moves us down to Commissioner and Administrative Staff reports.
There's one other item.
18.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see it. Apologize. Item 18, consideration to approve revision to P-15 sidewalks and walkway detail.
No, it's okay. It's a minor adjustment, so it may be fitting that we glossed over it. But Jonathan Holm, County Engineer, it's really simple. This sidewalk detail, we're just revising it. Instead of being 4 feet wide, we're essentially making it 5 feet wide. And the reason why is to keep up with the ADA requirements. If you keep it less than 5 feet, then you have to have a 200-foot bump out to where you expand it to 5 feet. Instead of having staff or us trying to catch that, I'm recommending that we just update it to be 5 feet continuously and provide more sidewalk for our community.
Sounds good. Any discussion or motion for alternative one?
Make a motion for alternative one.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Floyd for alternative one. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. Hearing no nays, it passes unanimously. Now we can move to reports from staff and commissioners. We'll start with our staff.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The only thing I would mention is that I just want to put on your radar that there may be a need for a special call meeting in late December, mid to late December, for one item, which is the approval of the wastewater treatment plant expansion. We do have to get that under contract before the end of the year. And it's out for bid right now, but the close of bid will be after the December 3rd meeting. So I just want to give you a heads up on that, and I do have several items that I need to discuss in executive session.
Okay, sounds good. We'll go to the executive session in just a minute. Anything else from me and staff on this side of the room? Madam Clerk? Okay, we'll see if there's anything from the commission.
Debris pickup, what's the status there? People getting aggravated because they got trash in their yard. It's everywhere, but it's crazy how people's upset about that. They want it gone, but I know there's a lot of work. Yeah, we need to publish that somewhere so they can, instead of us trying to track it down, they can go look and see where we're working that week.
Well, I can say on that, it's usually about on a weekly basis, and Mark may know this, that we try and tell folks what zones they're in for the week or what zone they're going into in the county. But we do try and put that on Facebook at least once a week to let folks know. But we can. I will email that out to you as well, so that you know as well. But Clint can answer.
Yeah, we're getting the same phone calls as well. As of today, they said they were in all 7 zones today working. Zone 3 and there's 2 zones that are basically what we consider 100%, which means obviously there's people that have moved it out, but they've made a first pass through it. And I believe a portion of 5, we split 5 into 2 pieces, which is the southern part of your zone. 5A is considered complete, so they're just working through.
I understand. How many trucks, it's one contractor, but how many trucks have they got out there working? Any idea?
It's a mixture of different types of trucks. You have the doubles, which are the ones that have the huge truck and trailer with the grapple. You have a handful of those. You have some cut crews. You have some that are pickup trucks pulling the big dump trailers, and then skid steer. So it's a mixture of a bunch of different equipment.
I know I see them working, but it's a lot of debris.
I'm trying to pull up the number that I got just a little while ago. Total for the county were a little over 55,000 square yards, of which about 10,000 came out of Rincon. So we're estimating somewhere in that probably 70, possibly 80,000 cubic yards when it's all said and done. And they've started chipping at the Sandhill complex. They'll probably have the majority of what's been brought in shipped there, and they'll start hauling it out. So that'll make a little bit more room there.
Did you get any more info on that other site in North Effingham? I have not followed up with mine.
Yes, sir, we got one. The portion of the CEM property that comes off of Ralph Ron Road, we're utilizing that.
Okay, so I don't need to
Yes, sir,
follow
we're
up
good.
on mine. Okay, all right, good.
All right, thank you. I got one more thing. It doesn't concern you though. We talked about trying to come up with names, or how we're gonna approve names for parks, and we've talked about changing Atlas. But I asked Stephanie about it, and I guess we've got to create an ordinance. What do we need to do if we're gonna start submitting names? I mean, how are we gonna go forward in the future of naming the parks, things like that?
I can get, and we could probably make that broader beyond parks, just kind of have a naming ordinance policy in place, and then we can get some samples to y'all.
So we currently have a drafted naming ordinance that's with the county attorney right now.
Anyway, we talked about renaming Atlas.
Yeah, is that something maybe you want to take to the, is it January when the board goes to Atlanta?
Or February,
And we just have a one-day workshop there to follow up on the last workshop, see where we're at. Why don't we put that as an agenda item to consider that ordinance at that time. Okay? Does that sound reasonable, Tim, to you as well?
That's fine.
Okay?
That's it.
All right. Burdette?
Going to, back to the debris, does anybody know where you, and I got to ask this, and I didn't know how to answer it, for like large tree stumps and root balls, is there a place to dispose of that in the county, or is that, I don't think he could get it on the side of the road, so I don't think they would pick it up even if he did. Is there a spot to dispose of something like that?
Clint, I mean, does that get picked up? I would assume it does. Oh, but they can't get it to the front. Is that the problem?
I guess so. That's what, he said the land site, the landfill won't take it, is what he told me. I was wondering, I mean, it's about
Is
a
it coming
pound
from
there, so it probably
I'm
would be
assuming
a
it's coming
large.
from a private contractor. If the citizen's bringing it in, they take it
They
free.
would? Okay. Really?
Mhm.
To the landfill?
Yes.
Okay, I'll let them know. All right. The second thing I had was on Golden Drive. I don't know, I sent an email a couple days ago or last week.
Yeah.
Didn't know how to follow up on that. It looks like they're stopping, starting. There's a lot of porous asphalt as you were driving along. Then they removed the equipment, they brought the equipment back. Now they removed the equipment again. It's just a small stretch of road. I don't understand what's.
Yeah, we got an update on that, and, yeah.
Is that the one between Goshen and,
Yes, sir.
Blue Jay?
Blue Jay.
Yeah,
No,
they-
Golden,
Goshen and McCall.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I travel it.
And there's no signs out there for.
I've got the email pulled up from the site contractor. They sent us an update earlier this week. The topping is 75% on one lane. Contractor is bringing an unleveling lane sign on Tuesday.
Okay.
And they were supposed to be finishing actually topping it today.
Okay.
So it may be done, but we can go out there and look at. The porous mix was in regard to the patching that was there, so it's the base asphalt, so once they get the topping on there, it won't be so.
Yeah, I know it would smooth it out. I didn't know if it bothered the integrity of the whole thing being porous up under that or not. It was just an engineering question. But-
No, it doesn't.
Okay, 'cause it keeps it level. As long as you got level on their top layer, you're good.
That's right. Yeah, they can make adjustments on that, but, and then, other than that, I think that's it.
I appreciate the sign too.
That's right.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Are we going to talk about anything with the city of Springfield in executive session?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, I'm sure we'll talk about the same thing then. I don't have anything.
Okay. If there's nothing else, we do have a need for executive session to discuss personnel, property, and pending litigation. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Burdette to go into executive session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Hearing no no's, we are in executive session. So that's going to conclude our business. We're going to come back out of executive session and just adjourn the meeting, so staff and anyone else can dismiss if they like.
Thank you, everyone.